Good morning and welcome, April Fool's edition of SimWorld today as we kick off the final month of college basketball season. I am joined by Rick Blaze in the building. Good morning, Rick, and happy April Fool's Day.
Hey, happy April Fool's Day and happy birthday to my aunt, who was the first fool.
I, uh, it's a fantastic. I'm sure she's not a fan of that, but I'm a hat tip to that one for the creative response. We got a couple things to want to get to. We're focusing in on SWBA today. I want to talk a little bit of the tanking issue, but I want to start first in Phoenix, and that is where Kevin Durant will not be playing for a week, as he at least a week, as he is out with a sprained ankle. And this comes in a situation in which the Phoenix Suns are a game back of the Sacramento Kings for the 10 spot. They've lost three in a row. They're fading, and they won't have arguably their best player. So, Rick, the question is, are the Suns, who were already in plenty of struggle and unlikely to make much noise in the play-in or the playoffs, are they officially cooked? And is this the end of the Kevin Durant era in Phoenix?
I hope so. Are they officially cooked? Absolutely. There's Bon Appetit. Is the end of the Kevin Durant era? Absolutely. And he's coming to the Houston Rockets, I believe. I don't think he should play for the remainder of the season. Go ahead and shut it down. There's nothing good's going to come from it. Uh, those guys, those veteran guys, are not they didn't get together this season to say we're gonna go all in for the play-in tournament. Like that's not the goal there, right? So they've tremendously underwhelmed all season long from Kevin Durant. And as a Houston Rocket fan, I don't care to see Kevin Durant play any more games this season. Go ahead, shut it down, big fella. Rest up this off season so we can get you, so you can help us make a run at some real meaningful games, because the Phoenix Suns are not the ones to do it.
This is pretty much this situation is a microcosm of the Suns' struggles this season. They've been way too hyper reliant on a 36-year-old Kevin Durant. This roster has been ill designed to win games with depth. They looked briefly better over the middle part of this month when they won four games in a row, and five of six when, well, Bradley Beal was outside of the rotation. He got injured. He wasn't playing. And suddenly people were saying, hey, maybe this team's better without Beal, who's supposed to be our third best player. Well, things have since changed, right? They lose three straight games because their schedule no longer features Toronto and Chicago on it. And it's Boston, Minnesota, Houston, all losses. And things don't get any easier for a team that's trying to chase down Sacramento, who is intent on making the play-in, and despite firing their coach and losing their all-star point guard, wanting to prove they can still be a relevant basketball team. Their schedule ahead: at Milwaukee, at Boston, at New York, Golden State at home, versus Oklahoma City, versus San Antonio, at Sacramento. That's not an easy schedule. Two games on that list are ones that I consider to be winnable, and you could throw in Milwaukee, just depending on how you feel about them without Dame Lillard. This team is done. There's no way forward for this group, and frankly, Rick, I would be concerned if I was another team trying to trade for Kevin Durant this offseason, which I think will happen. Why would I bother giving up big assets to you, Phoenix, who desperately needs Kevin Durant gone and assets back, more so than I need a 36, will be 37-year-old by the time next season starts?
Yeah, great point. They're gonna get not necessarily pennies on the dollar, but they're gonna get nickels and dimes on the dollar, right? He's still a great asset to a winning team, so he still has a lot. He still has value. But the Phoenix Suns, in the position that they're in, that you're begging for someone to take them off your hands right now, so you can't really get your full money's worth of a KD. And again, as a Rockets fan, I reiterate, I appreciate that, Phoenix. Thank you. We will consider all those options.
All right, let's head to what has been a pretty big talking point, or point of conversation rather, across really the I think this is a bit of the media, but the tanking challenge in the SWBA. You got Washington, Charlotte, Philadelphia, Brooklyn in the East, all officially eliminated. Utah and New Orleans eliminated as well, with San Antonio and Portland likely to join that list very soon. So, Rick, is there a tanking problem in the SWBA, and if so, is there any way to fix it?
I don't know if there's a taking problem per se. I think the bigger issue is the way that the organizations who keep being at the bottom every season, the way that they're ran. I'm gonna pick on the Wizards for a second. Skinny, what up? Since 1998, I'm giving little stat facts here, Marsh.
Here we
Since
go.
1998, the Washington Wizards have had 14, count them, 14 top 10 picks. since 1998, which means you've been sucking since 1998. You've had 14 top 10 picks. Out of those 14 players you've chosen, top 10, only 2 has made an All-Star game twice or more times. You're 2 for 14 and getting a top 10 pick correct. What does that tell me? That tells me not only do you suck during the basketball season, but you suck outside of the basketball season during the off season too. It's a poorly managed and ran organizations continue to be at the bottom of the barrel. So I think they've made some provisions as far as trying to alleviate such a big swing one away from another with the draft picks, which is fine. But I think the bigger picture is these organizations now poorly they're ran because they're going to be, the Wizards are going to be back in the top 5 again next year. The product they put on the court this season could win games if you wanted, if you put a gun to the head and make the win. They're just not playing good basketball, and the organization being inept to go along with that doesn't help them out at all. Please, Jesus, don't send Jamison Johnson to the Washington Wizards. Please, God, don't send Jamison Johnson. He don't deserve that type of life.
So here's and I think this is slightly hypocritical of me to bring it up, but the reason I wanted to have this as a topic is because on a couple of the main media sites, there's articles that have been run in the last couple of weeks that says that's highlighted and asked the question of is tanking a problem and how to fix it. And I really think this is a microcosm of two things. One, I thought about it and I said, well, look, we don't have this problem in the SWFL. We don't ask this question about the New York Giants or the Jacksonville Jaguars, mostly because we don't care, right? We say, okay, well, they're going to end up with the first pick. That's not our focus. Our focus is on the playoff race. And we have instead, in the SWBA, put the spotlight on a tanking issue that we don't spotlight in other sports to the same extent. When we are at the tail end of the SWFL season, we say, well, look, that team's not that good. I'm just not going to pay attention to them. I'm not going to talk about the New York Giants losing for the 15th time or the Chicago Bears struggling down the stretch or insert the bad team that you choose to pick on any given day. We just kind of move on with our lives. We say, that's going to happen. We don't care. What we care about is the postseason race. And there is a lot of coverage that we could be doing on the postseason. I mean, you look at the Western Conference, the Grizzlies, who just fired their coach, are a half game up on Golden State. They play tonight, Tuesday night, with a chance at the number 5 seed. Denver and Los Angeles jockeying for 3 and 4. Houston now just a game and a half up on Denver for the number 2 seed. There's a lot to watch. Minnesota and the Clippers. There is a ton of entertainment that we could watch in the Western Conference. Same on the Eastern Conference. How about Detroit, who's making a push to potentially be a number 4 seed and get home court advantage in the first round? Yes, the number 1 spot is pretty much solidified by Cleveland. Yes, 2-3 with Boston and New York is pretty much solidified as well. But I think that this is more so than anything a result of the SWBA's own scheduling issue. We have talked and focused so much on all of these movements and opportunities in the standings that we've kind of run out of things to talk about because on an 82-game schedule, there's just not much else to say about, well, Denver's playing pretty good. And Los Angeles, a little bit of struggle, now playing pretty good. Golden State, can they figure it out? Minnesota, winners of 7 of their last 10. LA, winners of 8 of their last 10. We can't keep saying and focusing in on the same thing because we still have 9, 7, 8 games. I don't know the math off the top of my head. 8 games, I think, for most teams left to play. And we got nothing else to talk about except, well, maybe let's talk about the teams that are sucking on the bottom. Let's see if we can fix another problem. We're always going to have bad teams. We always have bad teams in every single professional league. I do not think the SWB has a problem outside of we just run out of things to talk about when the schedule turns to April. Postseason races are pretty much all decided, and one day does not dramatically change everything to the extent that we get to break it down in the same way that other leagues have it. Well, other league being SWFL.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we do kind of, it's interesting. We look at the SWFL when the teams are bad and they get the number 1 pick. We look at their position that they're in as being a team that's hopefully on the rise, is just looking for the organizational changing player. And then when we go to the SWBA, it's like, oh well, this team sucks. They're the number 1 pick, and then they, the conversation about it is different as well. So there's probably a lot of layers to that, and you touch on some of those. But at the end of the day, all I want to say is, please, sweet baby Jesus, Don't bring Jamison Johnson to the Washington Wizards. Oh no, Lord, please,
Or,
Jamison, don't do
I
it.
mean, counterpoint, give Jamison Johnson to the Wizards and hopefully make them relevant because they need somebody to make
No,
them relevant
no. We
at some future
keep it
point.
for real. You didn't just listen to the stats I threw out there since
Hey,
1998.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. At
The
least they
Wizards
got it.
have
Who
botched
who were the two?
everything.
Who were the two?
Uh,
It
Bradley
wasn't.
Beal
It was
and
John
John
Wall.
Wall.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
look
That's
when
it.
they had those two guys, they were a
They
game
did
seven
nothing with
away
them.
from. Well, they were a game seven away from making the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, they were the Kelly Olynyk game away from advancing against Boston.
Wow.
It was
Kelly
the
Olynyk.
one time in their history their recent history, where they've been worth watching in any way, shape, or form. All right, that is our show, Rick. As always, a true pleasure having you on. We will talk to you again later this week. We're bringing on Sniper J tomorrow to talk some college hoops. Big week ahead, LSU and Duke. Oh, that's the wrong one. The game of the week, excuse me, here on Thursday in the SEC. It's not LSU Duke. It is Kentucky and Alabama. Massive opportunity
Yeah.
for the number one spot in the SEC on the line. That's Thursday. We'll preview some of that, talk more college basketball as the final month of the season is upon us. Rick, as always, appreciate you coming on. We will talk to you again later this week. Thank
Sure.
you all for tuning in here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, beat the game.